Imagine being humiliated at work, in front of everyone, for something that shouldn't even matter, your appearance. Now imagine that the person who humiliated you will deeply regret it. This is the story of a nurse, and the day she stood up to an arrogant doctor, but what he didn't know would change everything. This story will touch you deeply. It's about a nurse who has always taken care of everyone around her, but one day she was disrespected and judged, not for her work, but for something totally superficial. What she and the doctor didn't realize was that one patient in particular was watching everything, and that person would change their lives forever. Before I start this moving story, let me know in the comments which region you're watching from, and I'll leave a heart in your comment. Let's get started. Nurse Anna always had a warm and caring way with patients, which earned her the respect and gratitude of many people at the hospital. She didn't mind working exhausting shifts or sacrificing weekends with her family, as long as she could see smiles of relief on the faces of those she cared for. She was a committed professional, but not everyone at the hospital saw her value beyond her appearance. Over the last few months, she had felt judgmental looks accompany her in the corridors. Malicious whispers and muffled laughter followed her passages, feeding an insecurity that she tried to ignore. However, Anna reminded herself that she had chosen this profession to make a difference, not to please others or fit into aesthetic standards. She knew that her focus was on saving lives, on providing comfort to those who were suffering. But things changed with the arrival of Dr. Roberto. Known for his impeccable reputation and clinical talent, he carried an arrogant attitude and relentless perfectionism. For him, appearance and posture were a direct reflection of competence. From the very first days, he made it clear that he would not tolerate failure or what he called negligence. For Dr. Roberto, each member of the team had to be exemplary in every respect, which included the way they presented themselves physically. Anna, feeling increasingly uncomfortable, noticed that the new doctor's eyes were constantly on her with an expression of disapproval. She knew that, for him, her appearance represented a flaw that he couldn't forgive, and this caused her silent pain. The day that brought the inevitable confrontation arrived when Anna was assigned to assist Dr. Roberto with an important consultation. The hospital was to receive a patient who was not only influential, but also a major donor to the institution. There was pressure on everyone to make sure the appointment was impeccable. Dr. Roberto spared no time in making it clear to Anna that the standard there would be absolute. He called her over to a corner before they entered the room and gave her a contemptuous look. "Anna, I need everyone here to maintain an image of professionalism and excellence. And frankly, I think you could make more of an effort. Patients don't need to see someone who clearly doesn't take care of their own health." Those words cut Anna like razors. She felt exposed, humiliated, and small. The silence around her seemed to grow heavier, and the corridor she had once walked with confidence now seemed like a path of shame. She looked down, trying to hold back the tears. Her heart was racing, and she wondered if she should answer, but the weight of the words left her without action. She took a deep breath, pulling herself together. Anna reminded herself that she was a professional and that her focus was on the patient. Even though she was injured, she knew she had to keep her posture, even if her soul was in pieces. With her face slightly flushed, Anna entered the room next to Dr. Roberto. There, the patient was waiting. He was a distinguished gentleman, with an attentive gaze and a serene expression. He observed everything calmly, as if every detail mattered. Anna approached, trying to maintain her composure, while Dr. Roberto addressed the patient, completely ignoring the discomfort he had just caused her. The consultation began with Dr. Roberto taking complete control of the situation, speaking confidently and demonstrating his knowledge with a slightly theatrical tone. He wanted to impress, but seemed too focused on himself and less on the person in front of him. Anna, still recovering from her humiliation, remained discreet but attentive. She knew that the patient was the priority, and, even with the lump in her throat and the weight of the doctor's words echoing in her mind, she dedicated herself to ensuring that the gentleman in front of her received the care he needed. With every procedure, every caring touch she made, she felt connected to what kept her going. The mission to help, to serve, to care. However, Dr. Roberto seemed determined to keep her under surveillance, casting critical glances at Anna's every move, as if ready to point out any flaws. For him, Anna's presence represented a deviation from the standard of example that he held so dear. But while Dr. Roberto displayed his self-confidence and controlled the dialogue, the patient observed everything with an increasingly interested and attentive eye. He scrutinized every interaction, seemed to notice how Anna dealt with the tension and pressure, how she maintained her dignity even after the affront. He didn't miss the contrast between Anna's empathy and Dr. Roberto's authoritarian attitude. At one point, the patient, noticing the charged atmosphere, asked for a break. Dr. Roberto looked surprised, but gave in, perhaps believing that the patient was just tired. When Anna left to get some water and leave the patient to his own devices, he took advantage of the moment to observe the doctor's behavior even more closely. In that moment of brief silence, something seemed to change in the air. Upon returning to the room, Anna noticed that the patient was keeping that attentive gaze on her, as if he could see beyond the surface and understand the true depth of everything that was happening there. Dr. Roberto, impatient with the pause and anxious to regain control, began to pressure Anna with short, dismissive orders, making a point of showing that he was in charge and that, according to him, she should only do the minimum. At one point, when he saw her hesitate for a second while adjusting some equipment, he could no longer contain his arrogant, reproachful tone of voice. "If you were less distracted and more professional, you wouldn't need me to repeat everything twice," he said with a cold smile. Anna, already emotionally shaken and feeling humiliated, struggled to keep her composure. She took a deep breath, ignored her wounded pride, and continued her work. It was then, to the surprise of both of them, that the patient, in a firm, calm voice, intervened. "Dr. Roberto, you know, I've been through a lot of doctors, some really brilliant, and others who, despite their talent, seem to forget that we're all here to serve a greater purpose." Dr. Roberto looked at him, confused and slightly irritated. "I'm sorry, but I don't understand what you mean, sir," he replied in a tone of false courtesy, trying to cover up his irritation. The patient, keeping his gaze fixed on the doctor, continued, "Let me be clear, then. The way you treat your staff reflects directly on the kind of doctor you are. And a good doctor knows that he or she is not superior to others because of a title or appearance. The respect and empathy you offer the people who work alongside you is part of the care I, as a patient, receive." Dr. Roberto was visibly disconcerted. He hadn't expected to be confronted in a consultation that he considered a space to demonstrate his prestige and talent, especially coming from a patient who, until that moment, he thought was just an ordinary man. Anna, for her part, looked at the patient in surprise, with a mixture of gratitude and relief. The man not only noticed the charged atmosphere and the tension that Dr. Roberto was causing, but decided to intervene firmly. "May I ask your full name, sir?" Dr. Roberto ventured, in an attempt to regain control and better understand who this man was who dared to challenge him. With a serene smile, the patient revealed his identity. He was one of the hospital's main investors and board members. His name was widely respected in the industry, and he contributed significantly to the running and reputation of the institution. The revelation hit like a bombshell, and Dr. Roberto's expression changed completely. Feeling the weight of the situation, he stammered out a few words of apology, trying to reverse the unease. But the patient didn't give him the chance to continue. "Dr. Roberto, I believe that a person's value goes far beyond their position or appearance. I believe that everyone in this hospital deserves respect, especially those who dedicate their lives to caring for others, like Nurse Anna. She is the kind of professional we need here." The room fell into a heavy silence after the patient's firm words. Anna, who until then had been silent and trying to hold in her emotion, felt a mixture of relief and gratitude that almost made her lose her composure. For the first time, someone had seen her value and defended her dignity, something she had never imagined would happen in that moment of deep humiliation. Dr. Roberto, on the other hand, was now visibly shaken. He tried to avoid the patient's gaze, but the weight of the words still resonated in his mind. Each sentence seemed to dismantle the image of superiority he carried with him. When he realized that the respect he so desperately sought was more to do with empathy and humility than with appearance or status, a wave of discomfort passed over his face. The patient slowly stood up, keeping his gaze fixed on Dr. Roberto, and then turning to Anna with a warm smile. "Anna, thank you for your care and professionalism. It's because of professionals like you that this hospital continues to make a difference to the lives of so many people." These words, coming from such an important figure, were a real balm for Anna. She knew that this man not only recognized her value, but also understood the weight she carried on a daily basis when dealing with judgmental looks and cruel words. With a slight nod, he said goodbye and left the room, leaving Anna and Dr. Roberto alone. Dr. Roberto, speechless, seemed to absorb the impact of everything he had heard. With a hesitant look, he turned to Anna and, for the first time, seemed genuinely vulnerable. I'm sorry, Anna, he said, his voice low and disconcerted. I shouldn't have treated you like that. Anna, still touched by her patient's unexpected defense, took a deep breath and replied firmly, but without rancor, Dr. Roberto, we all have something to learn. In the end, we're here to look after people, and that includes respecting each other. Anna left the room with her head held high, while Dr. Roberto stayed behind, reflecting on what he had just heard. The humiliation he had tried to impose on Anna had backfired on him in a way he could never have imagined. For Anna, it was a painful day, but also a day when she rediscovered herself. She saw that she didn't need to change anything about herself to deserve respect. Want to see more inspiring stories like this? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on upcoming videos. And for those of you who like a good story and watch to the end, leave your comment. I stayed until the end. Remember, the most valuable lessons come from the most difficult moments. See you in the next video.